Yoo-hoo! It's the time for package from China. I'm doing a lot of reviews here on the channel, and when you're looking at some of them, you think, why? Why do you make something like this? But I think in this year I found the most wicked handheld you can ever buy for your money. And this thing makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So the FunKey S is more like this tiny bitty mini, more like a little handheld. They made it, and I must say, like, it's quite impressive what it can do. That is one thing to be sure about. But when you're looking at the comfortability and the stuff that you can do, it's impressive, but it is not comfortable at all. But hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So in this video we are going to take a close look at the Q36 Mini, and this device is something totally different. I have reviewed a lot of mini devices, but this thing is like the next level, and not like the weird stuff that we've seen before with brick games. No, this is actually like a device that can play a lot of like different systems. I found it quite an interesting piece of technology, because I've personally never seen something like this before. Okay, so if you're wondering how mini this device is, it's absolutely mini. It comes, by the way, in 4 different colors. I have the yellow, but you also have a blue, red, and black edition. And I must say, like, this is basically like an Game Gear mini ripoff that they made, but this thing can not only play Game Gear, this thing plays a lot. I will show you later on what I mean. And we're looking at the size of my hand and the size of the handheld. This thing is tiny. So I'm just be honest, like, I have playing around with it for some time, and I find it interesting to see what they can crank out of this device, but it's not super comfortable to play. But I was quite surprised to see that the D-pad, it's a very long travel wiggly D-pad, but this thing plays very well. I could even play some Street Fighter and some, let's say, some fighting games. Absolutely amazing. These tiny buttons, they are playable. They have a very long travel, but they play very nice. Then we're going to get a menu button, select start, and tiny speaker that is quite loud. The L1 and the R1. Then we're going to get over here the SD card and the input for charging. And that's basically what we're going to get with this cute little mini handheld. Inside the box itself, we're going to get a very nice long quality cable for data transfer. Then we're going to get ourselves like the ripcord, and of course the eeny meeny manual, because it's a mini device. Then we're also going to get an eeny meeny manual itself. But here you can see, and this is quite interesting because this is something you need to know. Okay, here we're going to get the shortcuts for all the things that we can do. Brightness, volume, snapshot, even the aspect ratio can be changed, and zooming. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can do with it, but there's something you need to take consideration, because otherwise you cannot navigate through the menu, or you cannot adjust the brightness, or you need to do a lot of mumbo jumbo. There are a couple of ways doing it, but I will show you later on. But let's power it on, and I will show you what you're going to get, because this thing is absolutely funny. It comes even with a very beautiful display, the FunKey S. Like, it got an amazing display over here. But let's take a close look at what you can actually play with it. So let's start with the Game Boy Color, Advance, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, the Game Gear, Master System, the Genesis, PC freaking Engine, Atari Lynx, Neo Geo Pocket, WonderSwan, and yep, it runs even PlayStation. So this thing is absolutely like a tiny emulation beast, and I find it quite impressive just to see how this thing looks and plays. But I will test some games with you guys and show you what you can do. When you're pressing the menu button, there's also the on and off switch. We do have an option for resuming the game. You can choose a new game, but later on you can also make a quick load, quick save, and there we can even adjust the brightness. But let's resume. Yep. So basically this is what we're going to get. Here we can adjust the volume if you want to. When pressing it here, brightness. Here we're going to have a save slot if you want to. That always says, like, always ask you, like, if you want to be sure. Yeah. But I can tell you, like, I need to zoom in this freaking camera because it's so tiny, the display. But what I like about it, like, that kind of very nice IPS little display in it. And that makes it like watching this tiny display not very, let's say, horrible. The volume quality, it's okay. But if you want to play some games, it's okay. Let's put it that way. I was getting my ass kicked here. So let's go back to the menu. Brightness, volume, exit game. Yep, I'm sure. And there we're going to be back. Okay, let's choose. Let's say a different game. I'm not going to test all systems, but Game Boy Advance will look kind of weird, simply because when you're having like, you're basically like a 4:3 aspect ratio display, and I can still recall like when I say the widescreen, but I had like a wider screen normally, so this is going to be a little bit cropped when you're looking at the resolutions and stuff like that. And this is what I mean. Sonic Advance looks so kind of weird if you ask me. If you don't mind the aspect ratio, it's playable this way. It's quite interesting, like we have so many handhelds from China, and most of them like messing up the audio. But it seems to be they did an amazing job. All the sound effects are here. So the emulation performance, so far I can see, is quite good. But let's take a close look at some other games. What I find quite interesting is that with Super Nintendo we had a lot of issues when it comes to some of those, let's say, cheaper devices. They always mess it up. But then we're having like a FunKey, this tiny device that can run Super NES just great, like absolutely amazing. It's freaking a miracle they can even play this game. Yep, I just got hit, but beside the point that. Let's see if all the buttons are mapped. Alright, no. I just do have the idea that we're missing out buttons over here. Can only do this. Cannot switch or whatsoever. Alright, so next up let's try some Game Gear on this tiny handheld just to see how it will play in the end. And you must take consideration that I'm basically looking from an angle. I'm not watching through my little display on my camera. And even then it's playable. But oh man, like you should include like you need to include like a peripheral so you can have like this magnifying glass or something, because it's really small. But it doesn't really matter what I'm going to throw at it. This thing seems to be running all of the games just fine. Another thing I'm also noticing with the audio quality is like all the sound effects here, nothing sounds kinda weird or like messed up. See, all the sound effects are here, no delays. Another thing I find quite interesting. Yep, also that is it there. Let's see if we go to the bonus stage. You'll see if this is going to be working well, because most likely the 3D effect there is going to be messed up with the emulators, but here you can see even that has been done very well. So when it comes to the, let's say, Genesis, even that works very well. I think the most impressive of this handheld is that it can actually play PlayStation 1. There's no way of basically showing you the FPS, but you can tell that it runs pretty damn good. Okay, so let's take a close look at the gameplay itself. Let's see how it works out. It's going to be in great FPS. I tried some two-dimensional games, they work fine. Oh yeah, you can see like it struggles. It's still playable, but you can see like when it comes to three-dimensional games, there we're going to get some slowdowns here. But again, like I find it still very impressive. There was no way of, let's say, adjusting anything. Let's see if we can make a quick slot. Yep, I'm sure. Alright. Okay, so let's go loading. And you can see that works like instantly. It's quite interesting. It also works very well. Another thing I'm noticing, like the D-pad is very accurate. Like you need to really get used to it. Simply because when you're looking at the D-pad, it is very long traveled. So you need to get used, especially with the fighting games, where you need to have certain like combinations. But yeah, it's absolutely fantastic how this thing runs it. Okay guys, so I think this is more like a product that like they wanted to show that they can make something pretty damn cool, and it seems to be running just a lot of different devices. I must say that I didn't test everything, or in this video I did test it out, like playing around with it, and I can say like all the 8-bit and 6-bit stuff seems to be running just fine. And again, like I'm flabbergasted just to see how this thing actually works. I must say I was also surprised that you can't even play on it, because the buttons and the D-pad is okay, but the buttons are so freaking tiny. So let's see if I can open it up. Oh, I need to be very careful with it. Always remove the Z card. It seems to be, this is a 32 gigabyte, so it's quite a big one. I think I can give myself some prior tools and just open it up. Most of the time I'm just going to use from the side to see where there is some space where I can pry this freaking thing in. Alright, let's take a close look at that. Alright, some space here at the top, so basically use that. Here we're going to get the shoulder buttons. You can see already the micro switches in here. So let's open it up. Okay, so the first thing I find quite interesting is to see, like, they're using quite a big battery inside this tiny handheld. Like, it got most of the weight. Let's see if it's going to get hot. It's quite hot. So then we're going to get here, like, the production date of the battery. It's 2021, but that's not really important. It comes with 1000 milliamps, so it will give you a couple of hours playtime on this tiny little beast. Then we're going to get, I think this is the speaker or what? Yeah or no? Let's see. Yeah. To be honest, I would say this is the speaker, but I'm not, to be honest, really sure. Yeah, indeed, it's the speaker. It looks kind of weird. It's like a completely different form factor. That's something I've never seen before in these handhelds. But in the end, like here, we're going to get a separate ribbon cable. So let's take a close look at the chip itself. Okay, so this thing runs on All-Winner version 3S. I will leave some specs if I can find them on the internet. I will leave them in here. Personally, I'm not familiar with the chip of V3S. I'm familiar with the All-Winners, of course. I've seen them before in Pandora's boxes. But there is that one tiny PCB. But it's great that they basically use like a plug for the battery. So if you want to replace the battery, you can do it like hot swappable. You only need some double-sided tape to get it in here. So this is basically what we're going to get in the inside. I find it a quite awesome piece of engineering, and I said it a couple of times in this video, I'm flabbergasted that way how this thing actually runs everything. Okay guys, so this mini device is absolutely mini, and I find it interesting like what they can produce nowadays. How powerful it is, how small it is, and what you in the end can play with it. Yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of this. Would you consider picking this up? I want to thank you for watching, consider subscribing, hit that little bell, become one of the Wicked family, and I will see you in the next video.